The third of our today's specials, this is Vitamin K2 MK7, and this specifically deals with calcium. It's because it's not just about getting enough calcium, it's about getting it to the right place, right? And this is the one that Andrew oftentimes calls the traffic cop vitamin, because this will help with how calcium is being used, how it moves, where it's deposited. We want it in places like our bones, not necessarily in places like our arteries and the valves of our heart. And so that is where Vitamin K2 MK7 comes into play. Now, this value, I have to say, this is the lowest we have ever offered this in a 720 capsule. Lowest price in our history, best value, and it's only right now as a today's special. In fact, you haven't even seen this size as a today's special since December 2018. So certainly something that you want to be grabbing. This is a customer pick as well, 4.5-star rating, and we have plenty of options for you to choose from. The 30 capsule, we have 60 capsules, we have 180, 360, and 720 capsules. And I have to tell you, look at how tiny these are. They are so small, easy to swallow. They will always be easy on your stomach, no matter what you're picking up from Andrew. But this is just such an easy thing to add into your daily regimen that can have huge effect on your body and your well-being. We know how important calcium is, but again, it's not just about getting enough of it, it's getting it to the right place, which Andrew will explain for you. The breakdown, though, on the savings here, really significant, especially the higher in quantity that you go. This first column is what it would usually cost. The second column is what you are spending today, and the third is how much you are actually saving. So you can see as quantity goes up, so does the savings. Definitely take advantage of that. And here is Andrew to explain a little bit more about Vitamin K2 MK7 and its benefits for your body. Take a look.
Hi there, Andrew Lessman here with yet another of our amazing Today specials to close out the year. Vitamin K2 MK7. I'm really happy to see that Vitamin K2 MK7 is no longer my little secret that I've been talking about for probably 15 years or so. You now see it on the internet, you now see it mentioned and discussed in articles and magazines or newspapers, and it deserves it. I look at vitamin K2, and I said this 15 years ago, as what vitamin D3 was 44 years ago, when I was emphasizing the benefits of vitamin D3 back in 1979, which I put extra vitamin D in my multivitamins back in 1979. And even caught a little flack for that because a lot of doctors have reached out and said, why do you put so much vitamin D in? It's not gonna be healthy. But doctors, as I've often said, are not provided, as I know from school, we were not provided the nutritional knowledge. It's really not part to any significant degree of a medical curriculum. And as a result, doctors didn't know how important vitamin D3 was until recently. We all now know how important vitamin D3 is. And vitamin K2 MK7, I've been talking about that for 15 years, saying it's much like vitamin D3. And it's starting to catch on. The recognition of that, certainly the science is just incredibly exciting and impressive. It's unquestionably essential. It's just until everyone fully adopts it, like vitamin D3, it was only in the last few years that the levels of vitamin D, the RDA of vitamin D was raised. I've been asking, begging for those levels to be raised for almost 40 years, for almost 4 decades. That's how long it took. So I think we're going to continue to watch vitamin K2 not get the respect it deserves. So what does vitamin K2 deliver? What does it provide? First of all, we need to distinguish it from vitamin K1. Vitamin K1 is what had been historically viewed as vitamin K. And I think that it's confusion with vitamin K1 that prevents a lot of experts, a lot of doctors, a lot of scientists from really understanding and appreciating the difference with vitamin K2 MK7. Vitamin K1's primary role has always been observed and considered its role in blood clotting. In fact, the reason it's called vitamin K is because in German, where it was originally discovered, you spend coagulate, as in blood clotting, you spell coagulate with a K. Therein, vitamin K1. But vitamin K1 is, yes, all about coagulation and blood clotting. But vitamin K2 MK7 is about something else. It's about calcium metabolism, calcium utilization, the creation of bone, the creation of healthy bone, ensuring that we don't have calcification that loses resiliency in our arteries or other tissues that we don't want to see calcification. So that's what vitamin K2 is all about. It's considered vitamin K because of its chemical structure. So even though vitamin K2 doesn't play that same role as vitamin K1, is not known for that, it's considered in the same class, vitamin K1, vitamin K2, because its molecular structure is similar to that of vitamin K1. But vitamin K2's role is very different. The way I've often described it, it's sort of as like a traffic cop in our body. It's responsible for policing the movement of calcium within our body. It makes sure that calcium gets deposited where it's supposed to be deposited and integrated into healthy bone. It makes sure that calcium doesn't get deposited and integrated into tissues that it doesn't belong, like our arteries, which can cause our arteries to lose their flexibility and resiliency. So again, vitamin K2 MK7 plays a critical role. We all by now have learned, I talked about this 44 years ago, that vitamin D, it's a prohormone. It plays a multitude of roles in our body. It's critically important for our immune system. It's critically important for brain function. You also can't absorb calcium without it. So when we look at calcium, and by the way, our calcium magnesium intensive care, our most popular calcium product, it's also available at today's special pricing during this visit. So if you're due to reorder your calcium, it's about 7 or 8 cents a capsule, I believe, in the large size. So our calcium magnesium intensive care will never upset your stomach, always easy to swallow. So it's a remarkable product. But you can't absorb calcium without vitamin D. You can't properly utilize that calcium once absorbed without vitamin K2 MK7. So it really is a trio. Calcium is that vital mineral, but that vital mineral, as critical as it is, can be potentially problematic if it finds itself in the wrong place. And when it comes to calcium, the key to making sure that it's utilized best in the way that it's appropriate for our body to utilize it, in our bones, in tissues where calcium is critical to their integrity, to their health, to their structure, that's vitamin K2 MK7 that's going to support that process. And even more importantly, and this is some really fascinating research that first came out probably almost a decade ago. And the research, the studies have now been repeated over and over and over again, that we know vitamin K2 MK7 is critical to the health and structure of bones. We've observed that. But also, surprisingly, when we look at our blood vessels, our arteries and blood vessels are more flexible in those individuals who supplement with vitamin K2 MK7. And why is that? Because what can rob our arteries and other tissues of their resiliency, their flexibility, their elasticity, is if calcification takes place. And vitamin K2 MK7, as I started in the discussion, it's sort of that police officer that makes sure the calcium goes here and doesn't go there. It stops it. It makes sure that it's responsible and part of the process of our osteoblasts, of building our bony tissue, and making sure that it's not going to find itself, calcium is not going to find itself in tissues that it would play an adverse role. Again, best pricing ever. Only the second time we've done a 720 capsule supply, and it's at a better price than the first time we did it. This was probably about 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, a 720 capsule supply, the only other time. So it's probably been 5 or 6 years. And it was more expensive then than it is today. So again, we hear a lot about inflation. I think I've taken that as a challenge to see how well I can do holding our prices on our key products, or even giving better prices, as in the case of our vitamin K2 MK7. So it's an unsung hero, just as vitamin D was an unsung hero 20, 30, 40 years ago. I've been talking about it for the last 15 years. It's starting to get the attention it deserves. I hope you give it some of your attention. Enjoy.
So if you're looking to try it today or you're ready to stock up again, I think you'll be happy to see that the 720 count is back. And to Andrew's point, we have not seen this quantity as a Today Special since 2018, and it's at an even better value than it was 5 years ago. So definitely this is one of those ones that you'll want to grab in the larger quantity. Also worth pointing out to you that today, that 720 capsule is $20 less than the half size is on a regular basis. So big savings here. Lots of opportunity to read reviews as well, because this is another very well-loved product. I'm gonna read a couple of these for you before we move on to our next Today Special. This one says, I use this Vitamin K2 MK7 in combination with Andrew Lessman's Calcium Magnesium Intensive Care to help the calcium go to the right places in my body. And it also supports my cardiovascular health. I'm a 62-year-old male, and at my last checkup, all was perfect. I attribute my health to working out, eating wisely, and taking these wonderful supplements from Andrew. Thank you. Here's another one. It says, retired and rejuvenated. Vitamin K2 MK7 is a perfect addition to our glucosamine chondroitin regimen. This supports our joints, heart, bones, and circulation, and we need to take care of our older bodies as part of our self-care. Thank you, Andrea. I love that angle of looking at it as self-care. It's not just about getting the vitamins and supplements you need, but also the supportive ones that help you utilize it and get it to the right places, just like Vitamin K2 does. Excellent product. I've been on Vitamin K2 MK7 since Andrew came out with it. I was not aware of the benefits before seeing it on HSN. Thanks again for such quality products. And that's a great point too. You know, Andrew always says it's about the education. Even if you weren't picking up anything he has to offer, it's getting the information and using that as power for yourself and to fuel your own self-care. And that's what we're so proud to do here at HSN. Andrew's been with us for many years now. He's been doing this for 44 years. And you should know they're the world's finest vitamins and supplements. So if you are concerned about the additives that in the things that you may be taking, fillers and binders and colors, just know anything you pick up from Andrew's line will have none of that. Now, we talked a lot about this vitamin K2 and how it works in conjunction with